this idea of wedding content creators is new, as in the newest, hottest vendor, if you will. What it is offering is you have your wedding photographer who's telling a story that are iconic moments from your day that will live in Foreverland, right?
Right.
Then you have your wedding videographer who's telling your love story as a film. And then you have this element of social, which is instant micro moments. And in my opinion, you get to relive that experience as a guest of your own wedding 24 to 48 hours after you just lived it. And this isn't just for people with big followings or influencers. We've been working with a lot of people who have like they're private, they're private on Instagram.
We're discovering all things wedding, from Will You Marry Me to You May Kiss the Bride. I'm your host, Andrea. Welcome to the Bridal Club. Today, I'm talking about the hottest trend in weddings: wedding content creation. Hiring a wedding content creator was one of the best decisions for my wedding. I mean, think about it. You typically go to an event and you take photos, and the very next day, if not the same day, you're already posting them on Instagram and Facebook and all of that. You're obviously not going to have your phone on you, and you kind of want your guests to enjoy the wedding day. Within 24 hours of the wedding, I didn't have a photo of Justin and me. My sister didn't either. Guests didn't either. And I was dying to get a photo of both of us, and the first person to send me not only the videos, but actually a photo was my wedding content creator. Persephone, thank you so much for being here today. You were one of my favorite vendors that we worked with and we hired. You were so sweet the entire day, pre-wedding, at the wedding, and then post-wedding too. And I have the pleasure to continuing to work with you even months after the wedding. So why don't you tell our listeners who you are, more about your company, Je Le Veux, formerly known as Bridal Vogue, and then also the media socialites.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. And the feeling is so incredibly mutual. I had such a blast before, during, after, and the ability to just have this level of friendship and connect with you here has been so incredibly fun. So thank you, truly. So my story is kind of an interesting one. I was one of the first employees at Wedding Wire and The Knot. This was Oh my gosh, this was now almost 15 years ago. Yikes. I was there for 11 years. And I started as a little baby intern and worked my way up and led strategic partnerships and was working on bridal fashion, launched bridal fashion and registry and retail, was working on all of these really cool things, but always had a love for luxury. And that was definitely not something that was happening at Wedding Wire and The Knot, especially at that time. And that I wasn't seeing on social, and so I just felt like there was kind of a missing element, right? Like, it was the years of the mason jars and the naked cakes and things like that. It just was like, all the same, and I started Bridal Vogue, which now is Je Le Veux, while I was there, and it became kind of the facade for my agency, the Media Socialites, and people just started to naturally come to me as the account was really growing. Um, and they were asking me how I could help them on the side. And so now, fast forward, the Media Socialites is a global um, 360 marketing agency that very much caters to the luxury wedding and event space. And Je Le Veux is our content platform. And as part of that, wedding content creation is something we've been doing for years and years for
Really?
on behalf of yeah, yeah, for
Oh,
wedding professionals, and
okay.
yeah, and then we just flipped the script as far as once I think Sophia Richie started to popularize this idea of wedding content creators,
Yes.
it's flipped it because it's something we already knew how to do. It's like a very specific dance, as you saw, that needs to happen, and so, yeah, it's been such an incredible ride ever since.
I love it. I hadn't heard of wedding content creation until I was actually thinking like, well, I mean, you know me, because of my business, I'm always thinking content is everything. We have to have content behind the scenes, product, videos, and stuff like that. But obviously, I wasn't gonna have my phone on me. I didn't want my guests to have my phone on them too. And hiring a wedding content creator was it had to happen. Now,
Mhm.
you were actually the last vendor that I hired because I
Yep,
didn't know I needed you.
yep,
So until those questions started, popping on my mind. But I remember I think I just looked online. I was on Instagram and I reached out to a couple people and
mhm,
people emailed me back.
mhm,
And I didn't think you were gonna be available because one, 11/11. Number two, obviously
yep,
how big your company is, and number three, I mean, you have worked with celebrities and stuff like that. I was like, oh, wishful thinking. But then you not only emailed me back, but then you also uh, slid into my DMs. And I
mhm.
was like, oh my gosh, I
Did.
have to work with her.
Sure did. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, no matter how big or small a business is, I think that business is done on a human level,
I love it.
and I love it too, and genuinely, I was so intrigued by your business, and then I think you didn't realize I was in Dallas, and that was
No,
really
yeah,
you're like, "Wait, you're here?" I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah,
girl, I'll personally be there." I mean, it was just so serendipitous, and the truth is, like, my team, we have people across the country, and we have video editors, and what's cool is no matter your style, it's not based on my style of editing, it's based on what you want, and there's one person to capture and another person to edit, and those aren't that's like a unique thing that we offer specifically because we have the capability to do so. But I agree with you. I think this idea of wedding content creators is new, as in the newest, hottest vendor, if you will. Um, but it's something we were doing to tell a story for wedding professionals for years. And
mhm,
so I almost think that a lot of the reason outside of Sophia Richie why it became so popular is because how else was this content being seen on Instagram and on TikTok? Like
right,
the pieces that go viral generally are either from a wedding professional capturing it on their iPhone in between the chaos that they're doing, or
right.
for someone like us being that third party to tell a different story. And yeah, it was just it's so special.
Why do you think, from your perspective, that people need a wedding content creator? And then I'll tell my version too.
The beauty of what it is offering is you have your wedding photographer who's telling a story that are iconic moments from your day that will live in Foreverland, right?
Right.
Then you have your wedding videographer who's telling your love story as a film. And then you have this element of social, which is instant micro moments. And in my opinion, you get to relive that experience as a guest of your own wedding 24 to 48 hours after you've just lived it and done it, right? And so I felt like that's what we've been able to bring to people. And again, like we don't take that lightly. That is a pretty serious opportunity and incredibly special. And so that's why I think it's important. And I also think it's also key to say that this isn't just for people with big followings or influencers. We've been working with a lot of people who have like they're private, they're private on Instagram, and they just want the immediacy
Well,
of those.
right, and because if you think about it, you go to a dinner and you like glam yourself up, and the first thing you do is obviously you want photos and videos of that hello, and
Yeah,
you post them right after. So for a bride not to have any of that, it's kind of crazy. And I'll tell you,
it
yeah, right. And I'll tell you something. Even for our wedding, I remember I think the very next day I told you like, oh my gosh, it's been I don't know, perhaps not 24 hours, perhaps like 18 or something like that. And I said to you, I have not seen one single photo of Justin and me. And then you're like, hold on, let
yep,
me send this to you. And it's
yep.
this picture right here. And it's honestly one of my favorites. It really is. It's like, because it brings me back to like how I felt when I saw it. It was the very first photo, and I get the chills actually.
Oh, I have the chills too. That makes me so happy, like, I could cry.
Yeah.
When in my opinion, and from our experience, it's very intimate, right? Like, we are in there for all of the micro moments,
Yeah.
and if you map it out appropriately. And what I had done and what we do is we met with you, understood your vision, understood the details, then also met with the planner to be part of the timeline
Yeah, I
to
forgot about that.
understand those
Right.
details.
Yeah.
What's that?
Super catered. I forgot about that you met with Macy.
Yep.
That's so right. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
absolutely, absolutely, because I wanted to understand in her words, what was important from a visual perspective. So we could combine both together, but then tell this like very personalized story down to the music, down to the time, like all of it. And I will never forget, there's 2 moments specifically that, like, give me chills to this day, and literally just now. Your dad and Justin's dad had this moment that no one was around except for me behind. I was, like, behind, I don't know, a pillar or something, and they were, like, welcoming each other to the family, and it was so beautiful and so special. And I was like, "Okay, this is something that's going to live rent free in my brain for
Oh,
quite some
I love
time."
it. Yeah,
And then your mom, when she saw you and your sister, like, there are moments that a great photographer like the John Kane team, he caught all of those moments, but there's these, like, nuancy things that are things that only you will remember in your mind that no photo could possibly take
yeah,
that you have.
yeah,
And that was my goal, is to get all of those nuancy things, like this first moment of your mom, like taking a breath in,
yeah.
seeing you. It was just, it's like gonna make me cry.
I
It's just
I know,
overwhelming.
same.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then I do wanna say one thing,
Yeah.
we had a photographer, which it was a team of 2 people, and then we
Mhm.
had a videographer who was also a team of 2 people. At the end of the day, though, the video, even though it was recorded for the 6 plus hours, whatever the wedding day was, I'm gonna get a 4 minute film. Like all those tiny little moments, and I get the chills again. Sorry,
Yeah,
but
same.
I mean, they're gone. I interviewed Justin like literally like 2 hours ago, and we were saying how we felt like we were high on something the entire day because you're full of emotions. It's the fastest day of your life, and those things are gonna be, as you said, like long gone. Because the memories kind of fade. Having all those, oh my gosh, I just can't believe I can still go back and look at all the, I don't even know how many videos and photos you sent.
200 clips. I think
Yeah,
it's like 200
yeah.
clips. Yeah.
And another thing that I want to mention too is that my videographer's turnaround, which obviously I agreed to, is 3 to 6 months,
Yeah.
right? So we're on month 4, and I'm like, oh my God, if
Yeah.
I had not hired you,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have not have any videos to look at.
I know. I know. And we all walk in, and by the way, like, no one should not hire a videographer over a wedding content creator. These are
Yes.
totally different stories.
Agreed. Yes.
Totally different stories. One is, like, timeless, that you will relive with your kids, one day and all of that, and one is, like, it's like instant hits
And behind
of
the scenes, yep. Mhm.
it's like behind the scenes of your own wedding day, and that's really what it is. And I think, some brides that we work with really lean into the TikTok of it all. And we discussed that before. You're like, yeah, I don't want to be dubbing over Beyonce. Like, cool. You don't want to do that? Gorgeous. You don't want to
Yeah.
be doing like crazy dances? Perfect. But that needs to be a dialogue, right?
Right.
So that we both know what's going on on
Yeah,
that.
I feel like I'm not letting you talk, just like I'm getting so excited. But yes, I didn't want to do the dancing, it's just not me, but you could do that with other people. Now with me though, we definitely did plan some video transitions, like with my bouquet, since obviously I was gonna preserve it and so on. So we definitely did plan all of those things, and you honestly did not miss one thing.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we have a shot list. So
Yeah.
I was like, boop, 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 making sure that we got it all.
Yep.
And then I know there was one shot that we got with your sister. I'm so excited. And she didn't even know. For those who don't know, her sister was about to get engaged, and Andrea had told me that. And there was this like passing of the bouquet that her sister had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah. I know. She's like, what is this?
Yeah, she's like, "Why are we doing this? It's fine." And then we're gonna have the second half one day, right? And she got engaged afterwards, and I'm like, "That is so incredibly cool."
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah,
again,
I love it.
the photographer's not gonna do that, right? Excited.
Absolutely. And then for those who are listening, I really hope that you can go to social media and YouTube, because we're going to put some of the videos that Persephone did for me. They're incredible. And of course, the one that we were just talking about with my sister, which again will show the second half once you get married. I don't know
Yes.
exactly what that's gonna be. So let's talk about some personal touches. I mean, we cover a lot already, but
Mhm.
I when I said that feel like I hired, and I didn't know it at the time, a BFF and almost like a wedding assistant, I mean it. I mean, you helped me put my dress on. We figured that we saw it and it was kind of like wrinkled right here. I
Mhm.
took it off, you steamed it. You helped me throughout, like every single moment throughout the day. And I feel like you capture things from my eyes because you
Yes.
were right next to me the entire
Yes.
time.
Yes, and I think you really have to when you're hiring a wedding content creator, you need to feel that connection because if you're like, "This is gonna be awkward," then it's gonna be awkward, but, I mean, I have a lot of experience in bridal fashion, and so when I saw that, like, I couldn't help myself but to just steam it out, but to me, it's my responsibility to do all of the extra things that will be helpful to you and all of the wedding professionals that are involved in the wedding in some helpful way, because then everything is cohesive, right? Like then we're all working as a team from the vendor side, but then from you, it's like everything is handled. You're in good hands. Do
Yeah.
you need some water? Do you need to chill?
Yeah.
That's really how it should feel, in my opinion.
What kind of feedback do you get? Like, do you get these type of reactions from brides?
Yeah, and I mean, of all the things that we do, it's the gift that just keeps on giving, right? Because again, we work with wedding vendors all the time, but they're like it is business for them. It is a life-changing moment for you.
Yeah.
And so it feels so different.
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate enough to work with so many incredible couples that like, it is kind of like dating. You do have to have a conversation. You need to feel each other out and make sure that it's gonna be a good fit and that you're gonna get a great result and that you have a plan. But I'd say the most important thing is you have to know that this person has a lot of experience
Yes.
because a lot of people are coming out. I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum, but there's a lot of people with just iPhones calling themselves wedding content creators, and there's a dance that has to be done between photographer, videographer, and us,
Yeah,
and
I
that's just
I I agree. I agree. It's one of those things that everybody thinks they can do it, and you just don't want to risk it because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, basically.
and I think what you don't know is we had a lot of conversation, the photo video team and myself, and so it was like, oh, if I was like maybe just in a frame, they would be like, "Oh, on the left," or I would say, like, "Can I just jump in real quick?" "No problem. Get your shot. Make sure you get your shot." Like, and so we were doing this, and that is why it worked well. So no one was feeling like I'm encroaching on their territory because the reality is, out of the 3 vendor teams, like, you paid the most for these people. So this needs to be thoughtful, but also, like, sharp at the same
Sure.
time, you
Yes.
know?
Yes, I totally agree. Let's talk about other services that Je Le Veux
Yeah,
offers.
yeah, you nailed it. Je Le Veux and the media socialites, yes. So Je Le Veux is a website that we're coming out in the next couple of months that's going to be really inspirational and hopefully will provide helpful, dreamy content for couples and especially if you're doing a destination wedding, but also just if you appreciate details that are not what you're seeing all over your feed. You're looking for something fresh and new. That's really Je Le
I
Veux.
love it.
Yes, and je le veux means I want, and I do in French. So what do you want is really the question that je le veux will answer. The media socialites really caters to, I mean, wedding professionals and I mean small businesses in general, but wedding professionals on all fronts. So whether it's capturing content for them behind the scenes or interest Instagram, Pinterest, paid ads, you know, YouTube, TikTok, all of the things. And so yeah, we're operating on a bunch of different cylinders here.
Yeah, you're like the wedding marketing queen. You do it all.
Try to be. I try to be. It's a
Oh,
lot.
you're such an inspiration, truly. I mean, ever since I started following you before I reached out, I was like, oh my gosh, this lady is like not normal in the best way possible, by the way. Let's
Yeah.
talk about some well, we kind of touched base on this, but any misconceptions that you can think of on wedding content creator specifically?
Just the biggest one is that everyone can do it, right? And do your research, friends. If it's not our team, definitely just make sure that that person has not just like one or two weddings under their belt. They have to have a lot of experience.
Do you serve the entire country?
We do, and internationally as well. We
Oh,
have
wow.
offices internationally, yes. And that's the beauty of it is, again, like you have a content creator who's on site, and then we have editors in-house. So if you want a specific style, we would talk about that up front. And we did talk about that up front so that
Yes.
we knew, so that like if for some reason you wanted a more moody vibration or like there's something called a jump cut, then we would have factored that in beforehand to get those shots so that you already knew what you were gonna get at the end.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. So let's talk
Yeah.
about some wedding trends that you're seeing lately.
I mean, bows. Have anyone seen any bows lately?
Yeah,
Um,
I love them. I thought I was wearing mine. I was on a turn, but no, not today.
yeah, I'm obsessed. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think we're also seeing a lot in I mean, like loads and loads and loads of candles in an extreme way. I'm seeing a lot of that, a lot of this vintage cake. And then I would say what we're going to continue to see is just so many wedding looks and how each look can tell a different story. So, not just the reception dress, but I think that you're gonna see even up to 4 changes,
I
and that
agree.
will be pretty normal.
I mean, we obviously kind of like cover this already, what it's like to work with you. But
Yeah.
for somebody listening again, what if they were to hire you and they have a very specific, like they are all over like doing the dancing and stuff like that for TikTok, and they have a huge bridal party that they want to kind of like do some fun videos. What is that like?
It's like being a captain of a quite wide ship. So we would map out all of the different types of shots, like from our internal process. We would come up with a couple of different concepts, present them to you, and make sure that we're on point. Make sure we would get all the details that were needed. Once all of those shots are approved, then we would map out. We basically, I like to say Tarantino it. So we work backwards on the shots that would be needed in order to achieve this edit. And so I'm sure you've seen, there's like a house song that is with sunglasses, and all the guests end up putting the sunglasses, and it's like a bunch of stills layered on top of
Oh
one
wow.
another. So we did that for a couple, and I mean, that means we need to get 20 people wearing these sunglasses,
Yeah.
right? So we need to find 20 people who are going to agree to do that. And so that's just like one of the examples. But when you're having big bridesmaids parties and things like that, we have to just make sure that we're coordinating and communicating with not just the bride, but the entire party. Like if there's a dance that needs to be learned, ladies,
Right.
here's how we're gonna do this. And so typically with the popular songs, we'll even find there's a lot of TikToks that break down the popular dances. So
Mhm.
we'll set them beforehand and then we'll get it and we'll do it and edit it until it's ready.
I love
It's
it.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. But if you think about it, like we're so into the planning and busy and stress and stuff like that, that we're not thinking of like what kind of content we're gonna put out the day of. So it's so cool that you have somebody that can do that for you and basically just help you like actually executed it. Because otherwise you'll be like, oh, I totally forgot, and then kind of regret it.
100%. I think the biggest regrets that I always hear people say is they didn't spend enough time with their actual spouse. And
Yeah.
I think you guys did such a beautiful job spending so much time. You were like always moving as a unit, which is beautiful. And then that they either chose not to have video, and then like, how can you roll that back?
Yeah,
So
my
this
brother
is,
that was my brother's, like, biggest regret for his wedding.
yeah,
They decided against a videographer, and my one of my aunts did basically what without knowing how to, what you did, she was, like, trying to film things, and those videos, like, this is, like, years ago, right? So, even though they're not as high resolution like they are now,
mhm,
they're so precious to them.
yes.
That's, like, the only type of content they had.
It's like your micro memories that
Yeah.
you're gonna have
But
forever.
but I will say, though, my aunt did not enjoy the wedding as much because she was on her phone the whole time.
Okay, so that is a big problem. We assume like if you throw the friend your phone, I mean, your friend should not be your paparazzi for that day. They
Absolutely.
should be in it with you and living like by you and being completely present. And
Yeah.
so I think that's also what's helped
Yeah.
make this very popular for us.
I love it. Do you
Yeah.
have any advice for people looking for a content creator?
Yes, of course. Interview, ask for what their plan and their timeline is, and to show you several different types of edits,
Mm,
because typically a wedding content creator doesn't have a team like mine. So they're capturing the content, they're editing the content. If you don't like their style,
yeah.
like, you should be able to see that up front, right?
Yes.
Um, and then honestly, sending any sort of recommendations of, like, past couples that they can talk to or testimonials, like, I think these
Yeah.
things are important,
Yeah, and to your point, and this same thing goes with flower preservation, right? I tell people
right?
like make sure to look at our work and not
Yeah,
only like what you see on our Instagram, go to Google, read reviews,
yep.
see the product that people are putting out, but then also hire a team because what happens if that one person gets sick? Is she gonna finish your product? Is she gonna actually attend your wedding?
I mean, I cannot describe how many times we've heard that happen, and then the other thing is when you have I mean, again, a lot of these women are solopreneurs and they're learning how to build a business in real time. And a lot of their assistants are coming in their place.
Mm,
So that they didn't know we're going to be the ones actually capturing the event. It wasn't communicated on the upfront. So there's like lots of things that are feeling slippery. And that's why it's like, okay, we're a business. This is what we do. We've done it probably 500 times,
yeah,
if I'm being
yeah,
transparent.
yeah.
So
I love it.
we know what to expect and we know the curveballs that are going to come at us and can like play accordingly.
Perfect. Awesome. So how can people find you, connect with you, and hire you to do the content creation for their wedding?
Amazing. So themediasocialites.com, just click on wedding content creation, follow us at the Media Socialites, follow us at Je Le Veux, and that's definitely the best way to get in touch, and we're excited to just have any of your audience work with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then thank you so much again for really well not only doing this for me, but for being such a key vendor for my wedding. I mean, I will always remember my wedding because of the videos that you send. So thank you.
Gosh, thank you. That means the world, and it means everything to me and to us that that is the memory because it was such a special experience for me as well.
Thank you. Talk to you later, friend.
Talk soon.
Bye. Learn about all things wedding straight from the experts. Be sure to like and subscribe to Bridal Club.